unpaid taxes. But these lots are then sold for tax sale. But the problem is, these lots aren't bought by anybody because the city of Killen, when they cut the grass, they put a lien on that property. So are you in favor of talking to the city manager to see if they will forgive that lien so that that property can be bought by citizens of Killen, and then the tax revenue will come back to us?
Repeat that question again. You said two things, that's why.
Okay, basically, okay, the county, they have some of our property. When they sell it back for taxes, the reason some of our citizens of Killen can't buy them is because when the city cuts the grass, they put a lien on that property. So are you in favor of talking to the city manager to get him to remove that grass cutting lien so that the citizens of Killen can buy the land and return it back to tax rolls?
I am in favor of talking to the city manager, but one of my things that I asked and I talked to the city manager about when I got in this race was the beautification. And you have to keep, when I first came to Killen, like when this person first came, there was one high school. And I went to Fowler, and when I came back, it was 2 high schools. My children came, it was 4 high schools. The more and more people you have, the beautification has to be taken care of. So you got to put in those avenues to take care of the beautification of the community. Because I don't want to live by somebody with their car in the front yard when they're buying a house. When you said the taxes, I would have to look into exactly how that worked with the county and the city. But I'm not for sure how it worked, but I may be speaking ahead of time, but my wife bought some property that was from the county, and she paid taxes on in Killen, and we live in Killen. So I have to find out exactly what you're saying, because she paid property tax on that property.
What you're saying is this piece of land right here, right? The county owns it. The county's gonna sell it. You wanna buy it. But the city has cut the grass twice, which would be $300 each time. So that's $600 extra. So are you in favor of talking to the city manager to relieve that lien so that you can buy the property?
Okay, so where are you gonna get the money for the time and the work that we?
No, but the question is just what you ask the city manager.
I would ask the city manager, but this would, as a taxpayer, and my wife and myself and other people, the city manager sent workers out there for that labor. So what we're gonna reimburse that money, we'll pay it forward and then pay it backwards too, because those employees that cut that grass gotta get paid.
That was just a question I'm asking.
Okay.
After it's over with, the person who wrote the question is not.
It's all about the dollar.
Yes, I'd certainly just bring that to the city manager's attention to discuss. But I think there's also the possibility of a legal issue here, and the city attorney would have to work with the county attorney in order to determine what's the proper process that would go about. Now, what the follow-on to that is, then how would you do that? But that wasn't the question. The question was just, well, I've asked the city. I'm not the city manager, nor am I the city attorney.
Well, you can ask our city manager. I ask him a lot of questions via email, and I call him, and of course, I would ask him that question. I'm not sure I would like the answer, but here's what I can tell you that the city has done about these liens. One, I've been introduced to the file cabinets where the liens are, and it's as long as this wall, okay? There is a lot of dollars and cents. Don't forget that the city of Killen is an incorporated business that is allowed to do work based on what the Texas legislatures let us know that we can do. we also have ordinance writing capability. And when we work with the city manager, we ask the city manager, we need to recapture this lien money because the work has been done. And it's the labor, it's the equipment, it's the time, personnel, not just to take care of the work, but all of the phone calls and letters and all of the back end stuff. Our code enforcement officers, and I've rode with our code enforcement officers, are police officers without a gun. They have to knock on those doors. They need to have those hard conversations. And as a council member, you can expect your phone to start ringing anytime now because we had some big rains. So all the grass shot up. So it's weeds and grass time for the city council because our email boxes are gonna fill up here in the next 2 weeks, okay? So what we did is we worked with the city manager and recommended and made it a priority that we get some lien officers to organize those file cabinets. And the last time we had a briefing, they had those file cabinets organized by street name. So yes, if you live on a street that starts with an E, you're probably gonna feel like you're getting picked on. But if you live on Zebra Street, you have a little bit of time, okay? But we have asked them to recover that lien money. They have already recaptured enough of that money in liens to pay for their positions. Don't forget, the city is a business. If they're paying for themselves by collecting liens, I would ask the city manager to review that income and that recovered money. And if the math works out correctly, then maybe we need to hire another lien clerk to start collecting those funds. If somebody is going to buy, sell, or buy a piece of property the county has taken possession of, then all of those questions are going to get figured out with the closing agent between the buyer and the seller, not the city's business. We're gonna collect our liens because we have the lien clerks on our city staff, that's what we, the council, expect the city manager to have them do.
Sarah, I think you said it all. And I try to ask you a question, Phyllis. I will be willing to talk to the city manager on this. I think it was just a yes and no question.
Don't get my gun.
Okay.
Okay. Do you believe that excuse me, do you believe that recycling should be made mandatory for the citizens of Killen by the city council, or should be placed on the ballot for the citizens to vote on?
Okay, very good question. And whoever wrote that brings to light another question. I think the citizens of Killen need to know what's on the ballot. They should have the right to choose and to decide what they want to do here in Killen. I do not think the city council has the right to put things out there without letting the citizens know and without making a decision for the citizens. Yes, it should be placed on the ballot. Any decision that affects our taxpayers, it's got to be on the ballot so that they can make a choice. And if everyone who is not registered to vote, they need to vote so that they can make a choice of what they decide when they come out to vote. Because your vote is your voice, and we need your voice to make decisions and not let someone else make decisions for us. So if there's anyone here that's not registered to vote, we would like to register you so that you can help make the decision that will be on the ballot May 9th.
Recycling. The council a few years ago, we sat down with the help of city staff and Glenn Morrison and Mr. Sutton and Dr. Ferris, and we put forward a scope of work, and we were all asked independently rate what we were interested in, what we thought we needed to move forward with as a city. And recycling bubbled to the top. Remember I said sometimes you're the majority and sometimes you're in the minority, but when you're on the prevailing side, it's nice to be there? Well, I was on the prevailing side because it was a rank order system and recycling bubbled to the top, very close to the downtown homeless shelter. And we moved $750,000 of city funds that's sitting down there with the homeless shelter right now, and hopefully they can get that going. But also on our plan of work was the recycling. And we asked city staff to work on recycling, and they did. And they brought us a plan. And a lot of times when staff brings you a plan, when you have 7 people sitting there and a mayor, sometimes it creates more than one question. And it created so many questions that the city council asked for, and we found consensus to have SCS Engineering do a solid waste master plan. Here's some facts about recycling. And if you want to know more about how I feel about recycling and solid waste, and you won't embarrass me, take your phone right now and get your internet browser out and go to terryjclark.com. I have a white paper out there that you can read that's about 14 or 15 paragraphs that gives you my thoughts. And a lot of these people in this room won't be surprised that I have notes, because when I say I'm going to study, I do. So I brought some facts for you tonight. In order to move our solid waste to the Temple landfill, we spent $1.2 million a year with a trucking company. We also paid the city of Temple $2.4 million per year to take that tonnage. With all of the people using the Temple landfill right now, the Temple landfill only has a 14 to 16-year-old lifespan. There is speculation that Fort Hood is going to start using that landfill. That's going to diminish that number. So here's what I do know about recycling. The common household in the United States of America, 80% of what you throw in your trash can is recyclable material. If we just simply take that 80% and send it through the diversion stream other than the landfill, if you want the math, you can go to my website. I didn't put it on the card, but we can extend the life of the Temple landfill. Here's some other facts. The Centex Sustainable Communities Organization, and there's some members in this room that were on the council when that was all being discussed, has been working on a regional recycling plan that includes the cities of Gatesville, Coppers Cove, Fort Hood, Killen, and Harder Heights. It's going to take all of our recyclable materials working together to make recycling work. We need to think as a city, and I would like to see that recycling facility built in our community, because that creates jobs, and that's economic development.
Thank you.
Recycling is we're going to have to do it. If we're going to be responsible citizens, if we're going to be stewards, and great stewards of our environment, we have to recycle. We would love to have it where it will pay for itself right off the start. There are very, very, very few instances of that. If you really want a good study, you go to look at the city of Killen. They have an excellent program. But it cost them to begin with. I believe the regional recycling is the answer, with Fort Hood being the lead portion. I believe that there is no, we're going to have an election, for early election starts on May the 27th, goes to, or April 27th, goes to May 5th, and on 9th of May, they're going to decide an election for council. The district that you represent will put their trust in you to make those responsible decisions, because you're going to do that by asking them, as we canvass now, what is the district's consensus? So I don't believe it should ever be a referendum, because if you do, then everything you do in the city. We did not, as a nation, go and have a referendum at a November ballot to see if we wanted to wear seatbelts or not. Our legislative body in Washington, D.C. decided that for us. But we represented them in our vote. Therefore, I don't believe that we where would it stop if we had, every time the council looked at something and said, well, I don't know, I've gotta go put a referendum and have everybody vote, then why do you need a council? It's just not necessary. But we do have to recycle. We have to have that plan. And I have complete, utter confidence that the council will do the right thing for the city, because that's what they're voted to do.
Thank you.
The recycle issue has been going back for the last 2 or 3 years, back and forth, in the newspaper, among people in the community. I was blessed to be in Germany for 10 years. The Germans has an excellent recycling program. As Mr. Clark said, and Mr. Kirkpatrick said, 60% of the stuff that we put in our garbage can be recycled. The question comes, when you recycle, how is you gonna make money off of it? What are you gonna break it down? What are you gonna do with it? And you said, should it be put on the ballot? I think when you vote for 7 people to be on the council and a city manager that you pay $170,000 and a department head, they would take the information and do the best thing for the city of Killen. But recycling is no way around recycling. There's no way around it. When I first came here, when they was talking, I was writing down, and I was pulling up on my phone. My daughter was texting me back. There was 29,000 people here in Killen when I was at Fowler Elementary in 2nd grade. There's 140,000 people here. Recycling, we got to recycle.
Keep it, remember? Yeah, keep it.